I was thinking, all right, what's the opposite of SCARF? What's just a handle that we can use that helps people get out of that SCARF space, whether it's for your clients, whether it's for yourself. So when the SCARF comes, put the gloves on, and the gloves stand for G, gratitude. If you would like the full presentation with this piece, just give me your card afterwards over at the table. G stands for gratitude. So what they've discovered, went to an interesting conference last month, and they discovered that people, the emotion over any emotion that impacts happiness is gratitude. Over any other emotion impacts happiness is gratitude. People who are grateful make 7% more than people who are not. Interesting. Their blood pressure is often 15 points lower. So gratitude is really an important piece. And I think about, with coaching, such an important part of coaching is really reframing things, right? So reframing what your circumstances are. If you can be grateful for something in the midst of this. So if somebody says, I've gotten laid off, the questions would be certainly first empathy, but then after the empathy you can talk about it. So what are you grateful for in the midst of all of this? And it may sound like a crazy question. I don't mean to be insensitive in asking it, but what's kind of coming up for you? What has it opened up? Asking those kinds of questions cause them to automatically start shifting what their perspective is, their framing of that perspective. Okay, L, love. Sounds soft, but if you think about it from the perspective of that oxytocin that we talked about, the cuddle hormone, again, interesting study, they gave people money, and then they shot oxytocin up their nose, and then they had them talk to somebody who needed money, and the people who had oxytocin shot up their nose were more trusting and more confident and not as concerned about clutching and holding on to everything that they had, right? And they would give away more of their money in this study. So now I'm not saying that that's necessarily a great thing. If you're giving it to Bernie Madoff, that would be a bad thing. But, right. But the fact that they showed that they were more trusting and they got out of that uncertainty place. So think about the holistic aspect of what you do. Don't just tell your clients to go out and do this kind of networking or do that kind of networking. Ask them, so what kind of gives you the warm and fuzzies? I know it's kind of a crazy question, and especially if you're talking to somebody with a high T on a Myers-Briggs scale. But what is it that really just kind of warms you up? Is it that you've got a grandbaby? Is it that you've got a dog that likes to go run and play fetch? What are those things? Where are you incorporating those into your life right now? Because they prove that they shift us out of that fight, flight, freeze space. Options, choices. Studies show that in a nursing facility, if they give the residents an option between having a plant or not having a plant, and being able to go to some sort of social activity or not go to that social activity, or choosing some kind of a treatment on one day versus another day, in long-term studies, they discovered that those simple choices extended the life of people. Choices extend the life of people. So look at what are the choices that you might have in the midst of this. And of course we know that one of the big choices is always going to be something that has to do with our perspective, right? Okay, so V is value. We've heard people talk about passion, value, strengths, brand, ROI, focusing back in on the nitty-gritty practical pieces of what's your value to that prospective employer. Will always kind of amp up and put them into the prefrontal cortex. Exercise, common knowledge, don't need to go into that, but it doesn't have to be that you do the P90X routine, right? It can be just move, get up from the desk, go outside and feed the birds, come back, whatever it might be, move. And then finally, service to others. And again, it doesn't mean that they have to go and volunteer 40 hours a week. It could be that they go and do something within a professional association where they might volunteer, something with a nonprofit, something where they job shadow, something where they're doing something that's providing some sort of